We still have major issues in the rental market, and apparently 3.8 million Americans are fearful of being evicted the next 2 months. So welcome to Housing Bubble 2.0 News of the Week, or as I like to call it, another episode of As the Housing Market Turns or Crashes and Burns. Who knows what's going on these days? Well, I do, so you can listen to me, all right? Randy Patrick here, putting the realism back in real estate. Today, September the 12th, fully into the month of September now. Hope everyone's doing well. This video is brought to you by, of course, our friends at Foreclosure.com. If you're looking to find the distressed property listings in your backyard, your neck of the woods, go to gethousingdata.com. That's gethousingdata.com. It's my affiliate link. You can check out what literally is happening, what I talk about every video. You can look at the data and see what's going on in your marketplace. Okay, very valuable. So gethousingdata.com. Now, millions of Americans could be facing eviction in the coming months. Well, if we're told the economy is fine, there's no recession, we're told everything is great, everything's under control, well, meanwhile, 3.8 million Americans say they could face eviction in the next 2 months, which is pretty surprising, I would say. It doesn't sound like everything is fine, is what the article is saying here. Median rent eclipsed the $2,000 per month level in June, another symptom of the rampant inflation in the U.S. economy. Now, actual rents increased more than 15% in the past 12 months. With rents skyrocketing, households representing 8.5 million people are behind on their rent, which is not good. And according to the Census Bureau, of those 3.8 million say they are somewhat or very likely to be evicted within the next 2 months. So over 8 million people basically not paying rent, which is, to me, reminds me of what happened during the pandemic. And almost 4 million, 3.8 million people believe that they could be facing eviction in the next 1 to 2 months. So this is not a good scenario, all right? It's a scenario that really should be alarming and we should be concerned about because it permeates through the economy and the entire real estate world. So the combination of soaring inflation, the end of most eviction moratoriums and rental assistance programs, and extremely low vacancy rate has pushed rents up with many renters out. So you're exactly, nearly half of all renters experienced rent hikes in the past 12 months. 11% have seen rent increases over $250 per month. Now, important point here, to make ends meet, people have turned to what? Credit cards and loans, raiding savings, selling assets, and dipping into retirement funds. So according to the Census Bureau again, 57% of renters say they were forced to resort to one of these measures to keep up with their rent. So desperation is set in, and now you're dipping into savings, you're putting stuff on credit cards. So it's getting pretty tough out there with what's happening in the economy. Now, situation is that if I'm a small investor and I'm a landlord, and again, I categorize small investor as being 1 to 10 units, the Ma and Pa group, which really make Ma and Pa small investors make up the most amount of rental units across the country. I'm not talking about really the massive corporations, the apartment complexes with 200, 300, 400, whatever units. This is kind of what I'm focusing on, is really the single family people who actually could get hurt or have been hurt with this. It's difficult. And when we're in an economy here that's not doing very well, people are going to try to make ends meet any way they can. They're going to borrow, beg, and steal. They're going to put things on credit. So we see that credit card balances increased by $46 billion in the second quarter of this year. Over the last year, credit card debts exploded by 13%, the biggest increase in over 20 years. So we know that things aren't good in the economy when this is actually happening. So it's yet another sign that the economy isn't as strong as the powers that be would like you to think. Whether we have a strong labor market or not, Americans are struggling, and it appears a large number may soon find themselves on the streets. Not a good scene, but here's the situation, is that, if you're a landlord, you've taken a beating the past couple of years with the pandemic, with the eviction moratorium. You couldn't force people out. Some people didn't pay because they couldn't or decided not to pay because they had protection with the moratorium, yet landlords still had to pay maintenance, insurance, property tax, mortgages if you had them. So it really was a difficult time. So when we see increases in costs, for landlords, increases in rental rates for renters, landlords have to now buffer themselves for potential issues, potential lockdowns, potential future moratoriums, which could happen. There's no guarantee they won't happen, and cover themselves because what's going to happen, right? Insurance is up, right? Property tax, what's happened the past few years? We've seen exponential growth in property values. So what do the local governments do? The local counties do? They go, let's reassess and reassess our basis for taxation, which means the appraised value, property value wise, is going to increase for tax purposes. So thus everyone's taxes go up. So that hurts along the way. So when you don't have increases like rental rates or rent rolls have to increase to cover those things as well too, right? Insurance has gone up, everything has gone up, right? So cost of goods, cost of service, everything. So if I'm a landlord, I've got to buffer myself against losses and keep up with the rising cost. Now, what happens if you own a multifamily unit and you've got one electric meter? Okay, guess what? Your electric costs are up big time. So that you got to pass that on to your renters as well too. So this is what's happening in the marketplace. It's very tough for the average mom and pop renter to make ends meet. So by the way, guys, if you appreciate the information I provide on my videos, if you do me a great honor and favor and hit the subscribe button, I really appreciate that. And also, if you are a subscriber, if you could double check, hit it again, because again, I lose subscribers every day. So again, appreciate the views and the patronage and everything you guys do. So again, I do appreciate it. So thank you. So dovetailing the issues with the rental exposure. So summary, guess what? Almost 4 million people thinking that they could be exposed to eviction is pretty significant. Now, the one benefit is that, okay, it's summertime, right? So people aren't going to be pushed out in the cold in the January, cold and snowfall, depending on where you live. But the point is that it's a huge number. And that number could increase based on where we're heading with the economy and the inflation. Simple as that. Let alone job loss, that's increasing. So a lot of these factors don't bode well for the rental community. So, but again, every so often we have this debate point: is it better to rent or to own? So that's the question. That's always comes up after a while. Do we rent or buy our primary residence? Well, according to the article here, is that question just became a lot more complicated. So ultimately, in the end, the ratio between the two just expanded to the greatest gap since 2008, and it does not favor buying. Mortgage rates have made buying completely unaffordable, even for those who could get a mortgage. That's why housing demand has suddenly fallen off a cliff. Mortgage and Banker Association reports before lockdowns, median mortgage payments and asking rents were equal, about $1,200. Well, guess what? Now, since lockdowns, rents have risen about 10%, while mortgage payments have risen 58%. So there's a big difference there. Okay, it's about figuring out how not to get burned, and pillaged by the monthly fee here. So the answer seems to favor renting, but not so fast. Why? Because rental vacancies are at an all-time low. It's not easy to get a place. The sheer number of applications means that landlords can be extremely picky and fussy about who they have rent their homes, and they can raise the standards of qualification as high as they want and put very strict terms and price points in to rent. So even though renting appears to be better right now based on the increase in mortgage payments and what it's going to cost to own a house, it's still difficult for the renters. So renters are not out of the woods. So either way, I call it out of the frying pan into the fire. What are you going to do? Now, we take a look at the upward pressure. You can see this chart in the past 40 years. CPI rent. So the Bureau of Labor and Statistics basically qualifies housing inflation as consumer price index on rent. They use rental information as their basis. So we can see that the past year or so, we've had the CPI rent has gone up exponentially. That's the red line. The blue line is the vacancy. So we've seen the vacancy trend go down dramatically. So not exponentially, but dramatically. So that's the problem. Low vacancy, high cost point. What are you going to do? You're going to stay put. You're going to have a rental rate increase. You're not going to buy. I mean, it really is tough for people to find shelter. That's simple as that. So again, put yourself out there in the buyer's market. Prepare yourself for sticker shock. And what they mean by that is the median home price has actually doubled since 2007. We know that via Case-Shiller. We know that if you bought during the downturn, you've doubled your money essentially on your home. It's not just the price of the home; it's the stringent credit conditions that come with purchasing. Mortgage rates you're getting higher mortgage rates. You're getting far less than what you did before. You add in homeowner association fees if they're out there, property taxes, maintenance. I'm not even talking about insurance costs right now. We know insurance has gone up dramatically in various locations across the country. And then of course, as I said, property tax, they're going to be reassessing that ad nauseum next year. So you're going to have that go up as well too. So it's tough to buy the home. It's tough to look at your primary home as an investment. Well, now that's the thing. You invest the money in your home because it's an asset that's going to appreciate. Well, appreciation is going to be changing now. What about renting? Well, people always think that renting is throwing money away, but here's the deal: if you're paying shelter, you're not having the additional costs of maintenance and tax and all those type of things. To run the house, maybe you've got extra money for investment opportunities, regardless of what those opportunities are. They don't have to be necessarily in real estate. But the point is, if you're not tied down to the house, and you're looking at what appreciation may be over the course of X number of years of owning the house, maybe you can do better on it now with respect to other investment opportunities that are out there because you've got, your cash isn't tied up in maintaining your home. So that's what they're saying. It's like, now we're at that, the more you save by renting or buying, instead of buying, is money that you can invest in other vehicles, other, medium, and that way maybe you can do better, right? Because here we are, we're at a point where you're buying at the top of the market or just over the peak. Expectation is price points they are dropping, and we're going to see it drop even more, potentially even crash a little bit here. So why would you want to buy now, right? Rent it, watch it go down, pick it up when you possibly can. So that's the idea here. So that's kind of the point. So just interesting to see that the rental community, the rental world is not out of the woods yet. Matter of fact, just as many problems as the home buying side, the ownership side of real estate. So it's difficult. And for me, I look at it going, we know things are bad when, again, you don't have a choice. Either you buy or you rent, right? Well, now there seems to be no choice. You can't buy and you can't rent, or you don't want to do both because it's just too expensive, which means the market has to change because, renter and ownership is not being accommodated whatsoever right now. So, by the way, little snapshot here. This is Long Island. There's 2 counties on Long Island, Nassau County, Suffolk County. I just pulled this a few minutes ago. Obviously, this is pre-foreclosures. Now, again, like every data service, never 100%. What I've learned about talking to all the data companies out there is that they're not keeping track with what I call the legacy or older foreclosures because it's a liability. It's difficult to do so. So if a foreclosure was filed in 2014 and we're in 2022, that's 8 years ago. Well, there's still a lot of people out there not paying their mortgage for various reasons. They're still in that boat from back in the day, even older. But because there's no activity on those legally, those pre-foreclosures are not kept up. They're dropped from the data collection, or at least saying what's valid data. So all I know that if we have almost 5,000 pre-foreclosures sitting on Long Island, this is just Long Island, let alone the rest of the New York boroughs, New Jersey, Philadelphia area, the whole bit. So just having that much out there, I know it's about triple minimum because earlier this year, late last year, there was discussion that there's 16,000 pre-foreclosures minimum on Long Island. So a lot of stuff going to happen up there. But again, I just want to, I want to show people what's going on and to say, if you're not into the game, I'm gone different locations across the country. I'll keep doing this. As a matter of fact, I'm going to start our foreclosure tour of America again because it's time for that. Next few videos, so look forward to that coming up soon. But the point I'm trying to make is that, guess what? Stuff's happening now, okay? This is the not talked about shadow inventory that has all the opportunity in the world. And that's why you should be taking a look at this and trying to figure out how to get involved. Speaking of getting involved, here's what I'm looking for my business. And I don't really care if I'm shamelessly asking for opportunities from people here because, as I said, second time at a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity coming up here, I'm going to make the most of it from a personal perspective. So I'm looking for real estate agents in Florida to join my firm, not to partner with your own broker, joining my firm. Why? There's a lot of benefits. We can go over that right now. We've got the system, got the investor buyers, got the machine to take all these deals down. So that's why you'd want to be in my firm, okay? I'm looking to open up other metros in partnership with people, whether it's brokers or real estate agents, except the qualification is you got to run my system and learn my stuff. And that's the only qualification, okay? I'm looking for investor buyers who want to buy stuff that we have. There's always qualification there. Looking for private lending partners because we're getting your hands on a lot more deals now. Looking to establish syndication or equity funds as well. We're involved in the digital side of real estate. I work with a lot of people who are leaders in this for real. Tokenization of real estate, selling properties as an NFT on a specific platform where you can use crypto to purchase it. We're actually having a launch party this Friday, so I'm associated and working closely with these groups and hope to be offering this through my membership base and my contact base very shortly as well. A lot of cool stuff going on here. So, by the way, my new program is pre-launching right now. I've got the pre-sales with discount. Get in now before the masses do. I'm telling you what we're offering and what's going to happen next little while. You'll be sorry if you didn't take advantage or position yourself for the next housing crash. All right. So how do you get involved? You send me an email and we'll connect and we'll talk. Again, just have to reach out to me, randy@luxuryshortsales.com. So thank you very much for the views, likes, comments. Please share the video with your family and friends. If you're not a subscriber, please help my channel grow and subscribe. And look forward to speaking with you guys later on this week. Thank you.